Welcome, everyone, to the SI Media Podcast. I am your host, Jimmy Traina. Thank you for listening. Did a great interview this week with Molly Qerim from First Take and ESPN. Got into her role on the show on First Take with Stephen A. Smith, and a lot of fun stuff with Molly and going through what it's like to host a debate show. And then after that, of course, is our weekly Train of Thought segment with Sal Licata, where we get into the Aaron Rodgers situation and some issues with group texts and the worst episodes of The Office and Seinfeld. So stay tuned for Train of Thoughts after Molly. Before we get to her, just a quick mention of past episodes in case you've missed them and you want to go into the archives and listen. Andrew Marchand from the New York Post was on last week, went through a bunch of sports media news. Boomer Esiason 2 weeks ago, Brian Curtis from The Ringer 3 weeks ago. And if you missed it, right at the end of January, we had Roman Reigns, Jim Nance, Joe Buck, all right here on the SI Media Podcast. So listen to those pods. If you can subscribe, if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and rate and review. The reviews help tremendously as well. All right, Molly Qerim, followed by Train of Thoughts right here on this week's episode of the SI Media Podcast. All right, joining me now, very excited for the first time on the SI Media Podcast from First Take and ESPN, Molly Qerim. Molly, how are you?
I am excellent. Thank you so much for having me, Jimmy.
Did I say that name correctly?
You did. And,
I practiced.
I was a little nervous. As soon as I heard the K sound, I was a little nervous. Don't worry. It only took Stephen A about 6 years. And now he can say, I always do with him the phonetic, care. He's like, oh, you just want to act like you're caring. No, that's actually how you pronounce it.
Right. That no you is what kept throwing. I was having nightmares about the no you in there. I was like,
you're a pro. You got it. And I appreciate you taking the time to learn how to say it right.
You can't start off an interview any worse by calling someone by the, mispronouncing their name.
No, it's the worst.
Yeah, it really is.
It's absolutely the worst.
So I appreciate you coming on. I was watching the show last Wednesday. I'm a huge Chris Mad Dog Russo fan.
Okay.
And I was watching these two lunatics scream at each other for 2 hours, basically. Yeah. And I'm like, this is amazing. And I should try to get one of them on. And Chris comes on all the time. Stephen A. come on. I'm like, no, the person to talk to here is Molly. How is she dealing with this? Now, for people outside of New York who may not know the full Chris Russo experience. Well, let me start with that. Were you how familiar with you with?
So I feel like anybody who grew up in the tri-state area, and I did as well in Connecticut, and I grew up with a father who was a huge Giants, Yankees, Celtics fan. Now I know that sounds very bandwagon saying Celtics and not Knicks, but let me explain. In Connecticut, the Celtics used to play at the Hartford Civic Center. So that's how that kind of happened. We got about 4 games a year, but so we were always listening to Mad Dog in the car, Mike and the Mad Dog. So he's a household name and an icon and a legend. Yeah, obviously now nationally, but especially when you're here in this tri-state area.
So you were prepared for the hand waving and
I don't know. You know what, Jimmy? I don't want to lie to you. I don't know if I was fully prepared. Because I'm walking down the hallway and I see Mad Dog and I see Stephen A. And it's like, hey, Stevie, I'm here. And just seeing the energy, I thought to myself, okay, finally, Stephen A's met his match in terms of we hadn't gone on set yet in terms of like the energy and the intensity. And it was kind of funny for me because it was this interesting dynamic where I always feel like on First Take, especially with the new format where we have all new debaters on, rotating. Mm-hmm. Stephen A always seems like he's the big brother, but in this instance, it was a Mad Dog. So It was kind of interesting to observe that dynamic as well.
And what I try to explain to people who are not familiar with Russo is that is not an act. Like, I'm glad you just told that story because he's like that off air. Like so many people in sports media who do the debate shows, do any shows really, they're one way, the camera goes on and then they change. There's no change with him. What you saw in that show is how he is off the air if there's no camera. So which is kind of jarring, but also amusing.
Did you like it though?
Oh, I loved it. I will be honest with you. I don't want to sit here and be a phony. I'm going to be honest with you. I am sort of new to enjoying the debate shows. I was never really a fan until a few years ago, where I then started to see what it was and appreciate what Stephen A. does. Mm-hmm. And now I get an enormous kick out of it.
Good.
So
that makes me happy.
And I'm glad. And one of my beefs with those shows used to be when they would have the moderator role and the moderator was never allowed to speak. I'm glad now that you're in there mixing it up and you're just an equal part of it as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think when we switched to this new format and having the alternating debaters, and I apologize if I miss anyone, but Mondays we had Michael Irvin, Tuesdays Keyshawn, Wednesday Marcus Spears, Thursday Dan Orlovsky, and Fridays Ryan Clark and Tim Tebow, and a host of other voices. It really opened the door for me in terms of an opportunity, I think, to play a larger role. And I'm grateful for that. I didn't know that would happen, but it kind of did organically.
Was it something you fought for, or they came to you and said, let's try to change it up and make you more part of the show?
Honestly, it organically happened. I think it kind of became, because one of my concerns was, I've been in morning television a while, and sometimes you have your people. So say you watch the Today Show, and then, you have the fill-in crew and you say, well, I want my people. So, and you're used to having this set 4 or this set 2. I didn't know how the audience would respond to rotating. And then now that it's been about 6 months or so, and it really is working, there is consistency, because there's Stephen A. and I there every day. And then the voices that do come in are coming in a regular basis. But no, as far as my role, I think it naturally evolved on air, and it also naturally evolved behind the scenes with contributing to content as well.
Yeah, it would always blow me away when you'd have two people arguing and there's someone just sitting there and they're not allowed to say a word. And I'm like, how could they possibly do that? I would go out of my mind.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the not allowed to say a word. I think it was just there wasn't room necessarily. And then sometimes what would happen, unfortunately, is they'll cut those clips, right? And they'll put them on YouTube, that kind of thing. They'll cut it down. And then you'll see me at the end. We got to get to break. And that's all people see. Right. It's like, this girl, Molly, just killing the debate, killing the debate and ruining the debate. And I want to say, no, for the entire 2 hours, the debate was 15 minutes long. You just saw that little snippet of it. No, but I'm very grateful to have an evolved role and to be making an impact with the content behind the scenes and in the production meeting, and then also on air as well. Yeah.
How has feedback been from viewers now that you're participating more?
Positive. I'm not a huge social media person, and I know this sounds kind of funny because I'm on TV, but I'm a bit of an introvert. I actually don't even have social media apps on my phone. I do have the accounts and do post from time to time, but it's not really natural to me or really my jam. But at the same time, I want to have a presence because I am so grateful for what I call our First Take family and for the fans that do watch and do support us. But in terms of, the bosses and our team, I think everyone is really enjoying where the show's going and the format change.
Can't tell you how much I respect you for not doing social media. It's so smart. I wish I was that smart.
Yeah, but that's like your whole deal.
I know, that's the problem.
You're a big deal on Twitter. By the way, hey.
But it's a horrible place.
Can I hijack this for a second?
Sure, absolutely.
I didn't know that you're a matchmaker.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's like public consumption, but I know who you're talking about because I know you're friends with.
Okay, well, it's going to be public consumption now, but I'll put boundaries around it.
You can tell the story.
As soon as I got the call, hey, Molly, would you like to do, a Sports Illustrated with Jimmy? I said, yeah, of course. And then I'm saying to myself, but I knew him from La Sala, Montenegro, who's one of my best friends, who's married to former pitcher for the Angels, CJ Wilson. So she's now La Sala Wilson. And I texted La Sala and I said, hey, CJ and Jimmy are friends, right? And she's like, yeah. And then they're texting me back. And she's like, CJ's texting you back. And CJ said that you actually connected them. And yes. So you are a matchmaker, and they have 3 children living happily ever after. I love them both dearly. And I think that's incredible.
That was way back when I was writing a column called Hot Clicks. And I became friends with CJ through social media and interviews, and he was like a go-to for me if I wanted to know something about like baseball. And it was funny because when they had their first child, he sent me a text and he's like, "You're responsible for this." And that was kind of mind blowing, I must say.
Valentina. Yeah. CJ, both of them are highly intelligent. CJ's a really interesting guy. So many interests, obviously, even beyond. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. I didn't realize that you were the love connection. So props to you.
Thank you.
They're a wonderful couple. Now we can talk about First Take.
They're both great.
Just had to get that out.
But wait, you brought up CJ. I just have to, has he pushed Bitcoin on you?
No, he hasn't.
Okay. Right.
But I wish I had gotten in on it because I heard a lot of people made a lot of money already.
Yeah. That was. They're both great.
And they have a beautiful family.
Yes. On First Take, here's what I was curious about: a few things.
Sure, go for it.
Do you like doing serious topics? And what I mean by that is, like Aaron Rodgers free agency, not a serious topic. Is Tom Brady retiring? Not a serious topic. Mm-hmm. But there are times when serious topic. I mean, you could even say maybe with the COVID stuff and that. Do you like doing that, or do you wish the show was always fun and light?
What I love about First Take is I love the range that it has. So sometimes it might be, who won the game and why. And other times it might be a social justice issue that's intersecting with sports. So I love the diversity of that. Some days, we're silly. We love to talk trash and bust chops and that kind of thing. And then, some days we're talking about, significant cultural issues. So I like that this show is a platform where we're covering everything and that we have that range. And I'd like to think we're a show of record when these different events are happening, that people are saying, hey, we want to tune in to get Stephen A's take on X and the other debaters and other contributors on the show as well.
One of the reasons I ask is because your show is live, and live these days is very, very dangerous. Mm-hmm. You're one word away from it all being over, basically. Yep. So that's why I wonder sometimes. I know for me, maybe over the past 2 years, especially, it's like, I don't even want to discuss anything serious because it's one word and it's over. You have to be
so careful. And then because of more of the cancel culture.
Yeah. And you're live. When you're live, it's a whole different level of, you got to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And, that's a fine line, especially for the debaters, even more so, but myself as well. And we often have breaking news, but no, I like that we don't shy away from that. I don't think you can be afraid of that. I think if you're being fair and honest and you're prepared and you're giving your opinion, people are going to talk about you no matter what. That's one thing I found.
Right.
Good or bad.
You've been doing it since 2015.
Yes. I can't believe it.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. And I'm having more fun than ever.
I was going to say the change in format had to be huge for you.
Yeah. And I didn't know, I didn't know how it would go, like I said to you. But I'm having so much fun and I really am relishing in it. And I think it's really given me an opportunity to, during the show, a live show, you're juggling a lot, like we're talking about. If there's breaking news, did somebody make a point and, a fact they gave wasn't accurate? Someone's in my ear. You got to clean that up. Or for example, Jay Williams just gave his Mount Rushmore. Did we just gloss over the fact that he has LeBron over MJ? Okay, I got to remember to bring that up. Hey, Stephen A., you just said X, Y, and Z. Can you clarify that? So there's, all these different things going on in my head. But I think what makes it so interesting now, the show is always going by fast because obviously you feel like you're juggling a lot. There's a lot on your plate. Is I sort of look at it like this, as if you're facing the same opponent every day, they can still be epic matches. You still want to see the trilogy, but now it's like a new opponent every day, different demographics, different voices. There's so many different layers. And it's so interesting. And I never know what anybody's going to say. Can I just set the record straight on that? I never know what anybody's going to say. So we have a little sheet with the topics and it'll say one word and that's all I have. So I'm also on my toes and I'm engaged. And I was a fan of First Take before I joined First Take. To hear the debate, because we always say save it for 10 o'clock. So I also don't know where they're going. And sometimes Stephen A will be very careful because he doesn't want me to hear it in the meeting. So you're getting a visceral reaction as well. And I hope that translates to the audience, that nothing is fabricated.
See, I have to admit, I always thought people knew what the other person was going to say on shows like this, only for this reason. if you have two hosts who are going to debate and they both say, I think Matt Stafford is a Hall of Famer, and then the other person says, I agree, then you have no show.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought, I would think before a show, a producer says, oh, Stephen A thinks Matt Stafford's a Hall of Famer. Can you say he's not? And then that's how we put a show together. Okay.
A little bit of a loaded question, because I'll tell you this. So first of all, there doesn't always have to be a point of contention. So you're a big Yankees fan, right?
Right.
So you like Derek Jeter, correct?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So you like Derek Jeter a little bit.
Right.
I know his wife and her family, and I love them as well, by the way. But so say, for example, you're coming on the show. So it's Jimmy versus Stephen A. Stephen A loves Derek Jeter. He's a big Yankees fan. So we have to do a topic about Derek Jeter, but you both believe he's the greatest Yankee of all time. Okay. That doesn't mean we're not going to do that topic, because your why might be different. And that's my job. Like, how did you get there? And I don't know your why. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
And then if it is something where it's a point of contention, so say it's the other way. So this is also how our process works. I hope I'm not saying too much, but a producer, so Sam Tanucci produced today, will call Stephen A and have a list of questions. He'll get his answers. Then might call Kendrick Perkins, get his answers. But they don't know each other's. Does that make sense? So
yes.
Because then it would feel very like fabricated. So we try again to save as much as we can for 10 o'clock. So yes, of course we want the heated debate, but we also aren't going to shy away from topics if there is agreement, because it can be such an interesting discussion.
Right. That makes sense. I got that. When something like Juwan Howard happens.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, no one wants to see that. Shouldn't happen. Should not have violence. Yeah. Got it. But is there a little party that's like, oh, that's going to be good for Monday?
The Juwan Howard one wasn't for me. Because I feel like he is that one in particular, this example, right? Because he's such a class act in what he's done for Michigan and I kind of the history. My concern more so, this is like my real perspective. I didn't say this right. I'm just saying this to you in a podcast. I didn't say this on TV being unbiased, is I don't want this, his worst moment to tarnish all he's done. I don't want this to be what he's remembered for. I try to be, a non-judgmental as possible and not judge people by their worst moments. At the same sense, balancing that with you're a leader of men and you can't do that,
See, I would have been good on the first take if we wanted to go at it with this. Because my take is, like, I see where you're coming from, but to me, it was Juwan Howard had a bad day at the office. Now, it was a little extreme.
Yep.
I agree. I guess maybe I would not judge him by this one incident. Like, everyone at their job, things happen. And when people and here's what I hate. I hate when people try to compare their everyday job to what athletes and coaches are doing. Mm-hmm. Like, he got mad because this guy called timeouts. If you work in a post office, a hospital, a school, like, you're not dealing with stuff like that. So you can't put yourself in their shoes. So to me, do I think it's ridiculous Juwan Howard got mad that the guy called timeouts? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I think he should have done what he did? No. But is he the worst guy ever? Should he be fired? No, like, it's a bad day on the job. Like, people have those. And I feel like there's no room for that.
By the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like there's no wiggle room for someone to have a bad day.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that perspective. I think, yes, you're a leader of men. It's unacceptable. It can't happen again. But the same thing, that's how I feel. I always look at those kind of situations. I'm always like, there's more to that. Okay. Did they have a history? No, I'm told they don't have a history. Then I always say something else, but there's other things. Right. At least I know myself. I'm sure you too. When you have those days where you just kind of lose it. Right. And then the next day you're thinking like, oh gosh, and I got a pod. Why did I do that? And you reacted out of emotion, that kind of thing, instead of pausing and acting. So no, I completely appreciate that perspective. With that situation, what came to mind for me was, hey, we just had the All-Star game. We're not going to lead the show with the All-Star game.
Right.
We'd lead the show with Juwan. So from that sense, but no, it wasn't one where I was like, oh yes, can't wait. When you asked me earlier, I don't want to shy away from heavy issues, but I do love when we're just talking about ridiculous games and like on-field play as well,
And Aaron Rodgers getting a 12-day cleanse.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Like that's a perfect topic, I think, for.
Oh my goodness. We did that today.
Yeah.
The fatigue the analysts are having for Aaron Rodgers is unreal. And it harkens back to when I was at NFL Network and Brett Favre retired and unretired every day. Right. And it was breaking news, but I'm starting to feel bad for the guys because they are just completely over it. But I actually defended Aaron Rodgers today, which is rare on our show because I tend to be more of like the Tom Brady guy because Stephen A just goes so hard for Aaron Rodgers that it's just a bit sickening.
Stephen A cracked me up yesterday because I put on the show. And he started the show in the first minute by saying like he doesn't care about Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't want to talk about Aaron Rodgers. And then it was like a 15-minute segment on Aaron Rodgers. And that's what we all do. Like, I'm like, I don't care about Aaron Rodgers. And then I read my column with Aaron Rodgers. It's like, you know. Yeah.
And that's the thing today. It was like, we had this whole commentary like, oh, well, he knows what he's doing. And, you know, we're talking about nothing and this and that. And this isn't news. Yeah, we're making it news. He didn't tell us to do it. We fell for the okie doke. Well, and it was the same thing for us. Yeah. Honestly, we blew off a second topic. We had NFL and 2 NBA topics, and we blew off one of the NBA topics because the Aaron Rodgers subject that none of us wanted to talk about started to get hot.
Do you get any say in the topics? Like, can you pitch topics to producers?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one thing I'm really grateful for. We have an awesome team. I'm sure as do you. I work with awesome people, our producers, our crew, our whole team. And then contrary to what many people might think, Stephen A is a great teammate. And this didn't happen overnight. This took a lot of time, but I think the producers and definitely Stephen A as well respect my opinion and also respect my instincts that I know the show and I get the show. So certainly I'll pitch topics and then also sometimes pushing back on topics, whatever it is, follows to where we want to go with the conversation, if we're going to revisit it in the second hour. And yeah, absolutely. So I'm absolutely making my voice heard in those meetings, but I'm constantly consuming everything, even beyond the game. So I'm that annoying person. If you come to my house, the TV's on all the time. Yeah. So if you want peace, so you're consuming it all day. Yeah. So there's always things coming up like, hey, I think we should do this. Like even today, for example, I just thought it was such a win for the U.S. women's national team. So that was one thing. I'm like, guys, we got to get this in the show. And then Stephen A, absolutely. That's just, one example. Or if it's Aaron Rodgers, hey, we're kind of sick of doing Aaron. No, we have to do Aaron Rodgers. And we do talk it all out. And, I'm grateful that I have the space to be able to do that. And everyone, respects my opinion and values it.
Do you ever get tired of doing it? Like, do you ever wake up in the morning and be like, I don't want to talk about Aaron Rodgers today? I wish, or is it's so fun and you're on TV and what are you complaining about?
Yeah, no, I don't get tired of it. I really don't. I love my job. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes I'm tired, or sometimes writing a 2-hour show every day, sometimes you're just a little tired and you need another espresso shot. But I don't know if the renewed energy translates through the screen, but I'm excited and, I love sports. So I love doing it.
Take me through like what your day is like in terms of getting to the studio. You said you spend 2 hours, right? When do you start doing the show? Obviously you're on at 10, but how much? It doesn't always
take me 2 hours to write. Not anymore. That's good. But it's a 2-hour show. I mean, so to have to write a 2-hour show. So I wake up really early. Okay. So it depends if I'm working out before or after, but I'm waking up anywhere between 4 and 4:45. And on a great day, on like a Molly's winning day, not on one of those low moments where I'm yelling at someone or regretting it. No, I don't yell at people. I might do some type of cardio, that kind of thing. As soon as I wake up, SportsCenter's on. So it'll be, Scott Van Pelt or the West Coast from the night before. And then, getting ready, whatever, pack your lunch, et cetera, jump in the car. And then I have an hour commute on a good day. And during that commute,
even that early, the commute's that long to Manhattan?
For me, for where I live. Yeah. An hour is a good day. Yep. Wow. So one of the things that I decided to do for my career, because I felt like it's the right thing, and I hate paying it every month, is I do pay for a car service. And I pay for it. Yeah. And it gives me an opportunity to prep. And
Right.
I need that, I need that time, especially not living in the city. So in the car, I have the little hotspot. I'm on ENPS, start writing the show. Then I have a little like iPad holder. So I'll have Sports Center on, or I'll have Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max call into the by the time the meeting, usually I'll be at the studio by the time the meeting starts, which is 7:30, but I'll try to get into the rundown ahead of time. I'll go through the hot list, just all the different emails, things that are kind of coming, because you want to go into the meeting prepared so you can contribute and actually say like, hey, we're missing this. We need to do this. This is hot, etc. And then once we're in the production meeting, we come up with all the topics. We're ranking the topics, getting in all the questions. I will finish writing the show and talking to producers, the entire time. We're kind of communicating what's happening. If there's breaking news, we decide to flip things around. Do we have a guest? They canceled, etc. And then like as soon as I get up, I go. I don't know how else to say it. There's no like dilly dally. There's no like sitting and sipping your coffee and like you're just going. And then so I'm writing the show a little bit in the car and then writing the rest of it once I get into the office. And then I would say around 9:30, I get mic'd up and bring my stuff out to set. Party starts 10 to 12. At 12, then I'm in the car heading back home. And I usually have the TV back on by like NBA Today and NFL Live. And that's when I'm starting to kind of get caught up for the next day. So there's like a little bit of maybe like a 3-hour window of a disconnect. And then listen, you're in this. We eat, breathe, and sleep it, right? So it's just you're constantly consuming.
But that's why like when Aaron Rodgers, that's why like when Aaron Rodgers posted that thing Monday night, my first reaction was like, oh shit, this is going to be like 24 hours of everyone analyzing every word and every, there's some things that like you get, like when the Brady thing happened, that was exciting. Like there's differences in the stories now for me. Like some of them I eye roll, some of them I get excited for.
Can we just talk about Aaron Rodgers for a second though?
Yeah.
Because listen, I love reading the tea leaves and playing armchair psychologist. So today's Wednesday, right? So I think it was Tuesday's show. I was convinced he's gone, right? He puts out the lengthy post, he's thanking everybody. They're the icing on the cake and blah, blah, blah. Okay. I literally wrote bumps like he's gone, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then today, now that I know he was in this reflective state and he was just regrouping and feeling grateful, now I'm kind of like, no, he's staying in Green Bay.
Listen, you got to do whatever you can for your own health, your mental health, your mental well-being. I just have a hard time wrapping my brain around the fact that he does this 12-day cleanse where he's vomiting and doing all these things. And then he gets out and he's like, let me go on Instagram and post about gratitude. I don't understand. There's
a little bit of a disconnect for you, how you go from the panchakarma and the reflective state straight to the IG. And it feels jarring to you, the two separate worlds.
Like the vomiting leads to gratitude. I don't necessarily know. In 12 days, like, do you need you're not that healthy, Aaron Rodgers. You're a professional athlete. You need like a 2-day cleanse, not 12. I need a 12-day cleanse. He doesn't need a 12-day cleanse.
I will say this, though. I don't know if you've ever had a situation where you're just like completely overwhelmed and you got so much going on. It's how am I juggling? And you just need a timeout. I call it like I need a timeout from the world. And I just want to kind of shut my phone off. And in some ways for me, and my female friends have said, like, you're so much more like a guy if we're going to stereotype, because a lot of people would want to, call everybody and say, what's wrong, that sort of thing. But for me, similar to kind of what Aaron Rodgers did there, it's kind of like, okay, I need a timeout. I need to pause from the world. I need to disconnect. So I respect it. And I think sometimes when we go inward, okay, not to get too deep here, Jimmy, but I do feel like when you get kind of quiet, things settle and that's a good time to make a decision. So what I want to believe, I like to believe the best in people, and I'm not going to be a snarky cynic like I was. I was very angry that he compared his teammates to icing on the cake the day before. I didn't like that. Right. But I'm going to say that, he's trying to figure out what he wants to do. So he's going to take a moment to regroup, and he wants, to make that decision from his best place. And he realized, hey, I stunk it up. And, we only, they put up 13 points, we only put up 13 points against the Niners. I'm one of the most talented quarterbacks everywhere. And in that reflective state, he was able to realize what really matters in life.
Yeah. And I get all that. And I think you said it beautifully and eloquently. I just don't understand eating butter for 3 days to make you have diarrhea and vomit and then you reflect.
It's not butter, that's just me. Ghee. It's ghee. And I think
it's fancy butter. It's healthy butter.
Was more intense, I think, than maybe the process actually is. But okay, now I want to move on from Aaron Rodgers. Can we move on from Aaron Rodgers?
Absolutely, we can move on from Aaron Rodgers. Tell me about Stephen A. little bit, because I had never had any conversation with him. He came on the podcast over the summer.
Yep.
And I was just blown away by, he's Stephen A. He's basically running ESPN at this point. He doesn't need to come on my podcast and be nice and engaging and all that. And it was an excellent conversation. He was honest about the Max Kellerman stuff. He said it was his decision. He thought the show needed a change. It sounds like he turned out to be right about that. Everyone seems reinvigorated. But tell me, like, Stephen A. off the air. Like, we talk about Chris Russo, how he's the same off the air as on the air. Stephen A., I would assume, obviously, you're in that role. It's expanded, so he must be a huge supporter of yours.
Yeah. So first, let me say one thing just about Max, because I don't want it to be, when the show had kind of run its course and we decided to try this new format of Stephen A. versus the world, which I do think is working. That was not a slight at Max and Max's talent. Max has been in this business for a very long time. He's brilliant. He's extremely talented. And that's what's great about working at ESPN is there's tons of opportunities and marquee shows and, significant platforms. And Max is now on a show with his name in it, premier radio spot, and has an afternoon show. So Max is still winning. So I do want to, put that out there, because I think that's important as well. And then as far as Stephen A., what I can say is Stephen A. has not been just like a good teammate to me. He's a great teammate. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about who he is as a human being and just how loyal and what a champion that he has been for me. And like I said to you earlier, it took a lot of time to earn that respect, where, he can trust my instincts, or if he's got a million things going on, which he does, he has he is the face of ESPN, and I want him to be able to lean on me where I can kind of fill him in. Hey, this is going on, that kind of thing. And whatever, how do you want me to handle it? That kind of working relationship. And I think the other thing about it too, why I respect him so much, and I think he also respects me, is that we both want to win. We want to win. And I think the other thing is it's about the show. So even if it seems like it's all about Stephen A., it's not. It's about the show, and it's about what's going to work on the show, and how do we win. So I think we're in lockstep in that capacity. And I think the other thing about him too is, yes, he works very hard. He takes it very seriously, as do I. And this is going to sound cheesy, but it's the truth. I'm extremely grateful, and so is he. And we don't take for granted the platform that we have. Mm-hmm. So even if people want to sit there and say, the moderator role, or I don't even call it that, the host of the show, right? Hosting the show. Like, it's to be able to be in this position and to be able to talk about sports every day and on this platform it's such a blessing, and I never want to diminish that. And I'm extremely grateful for that. And I know Stephen A. is too, and he never takes that for granted. When Stephen A. could have, just come off a flight, a million things are coming on. When that light comes on, he's going to put on a show. Always. You never have to worry about it. Always. And the other thing is, as much as all the hours that go in behind the scenes and all the meetings and all the politics, all this, that, and how hard we work, is that we have so much fun. When I tell you, like, I don't know about you and your boys, like, you love to talk trash. We love to talk trash. We just love to. Like, I'm a diehard Giants fan. I'm a UConn fan. They love to kill me. Part of the reason I like kill Aaron Rodgers has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. He's one of the greatest ever. It's just because Stephen A likes him. Right. But that's one of the biggest things with him also, why I love working with him so much. Not only that, you know, I trust him. I know he has my back. I know he wants to win. I know he's going to put in the work. I know he has the best interest of the show. Obviously, you know, he is one of the biggest stars, but we're always having a good time as well. Like, we're always laughing and having fun. And I mean, come on, what's better than that? You know,
I saw a clip last night in doing research for this, where you were debating something. I forgot what the topic was. And Stephen A said to you, it's hard to debate you while you're wearing pajamas. You were wearing like a green. And I said, and I love the way you handle that, because you went back, you know, when I first saw that comment, I'm like, uh-oh, because in this day and age, if you say that, forget it. It could be a code red, and you could easily go sell them out for that comment, or you could play along with it. And you played along, and I thought, and then it ended up being like this really funny thing about them. And you said, I look great. Well, you know, the way you handled it was masterful. So that's, I mean, to me, those are the moments I always love in a show like that, you know. No,
I appreciate that. And I think the chemistry comes across with all the different analysts and stuff that come on. And I know I keep harking back to the word respect, but basically from the point that, like, and sorry, now I need my lunch. What time is it?
That's okay. We'll wrap in a minute.
You're seeing the blood sugar level. Okay.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, so I think when you respect each other, and we know that everybody wants to win, it's all love. It's fine. You can bust each other's chops. So it's never from a bad place or a malicious place. It's all in good fun. And that's one of the main reasons that, like, I absolutely love this job, because we can do that. Right. And Stephen A will love to call me a Benedict Arnold, but it's the same kind of thing. It's because he knows I'm going to give it back to him, and he wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You can bust each other's chops about sports, but if you do it about anything like that, like clothes or something, you know, and it's like, but you know, but again, if there's respect there, then you know someone's just busting your chops. And that's what people do. And you can make fun of his clothes.
Oh, absolutely. But he thinks he's the fashion police, but really, really, I gotta like him in the fashion area. Don't tell him though.
Last thing, since you're on this rotating hosts now and it's working out well, if you were in charge of the show, you could have any person in the world come in for one day to do First Take with you and Stephen A. Who would you pick?
That is a fantastic question.
It could be a celebrity. It could be someone who you think could. You know what's funny? It could be
very good at your job.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Go ahead.
I want two people. Okay.
Yep.
I want Tom Brady. But I want like real time. I want Tampa Tom Brady. Okay. I want unleashed Tom Brady, not Bill Belichick Patriots and Patriot way Tom Brady. I want new Tom Brady, and I want LeBron James.
That was a good one. I feel like we became best friends just now, because I have been on this massive kick the last few weeks of I want Tom Brady to do media now that he's retired. I think he would be tremendous. I'm surprised so many people think no. But if you've seen Brady, once he got released from jail in New England and he went to Tampa, I mean, he even, like, right before he started this, he had a funny tweet. There was a video Giselle posted of her doing jiu-jitsu. I cannot say that. Jiu-jitsu. Thank you. I would just say karate.
That's how I met La Sala at a UFC gym doing MMA. But yep.
Yeah. So Giselle is like kicking ass in this video, and Brady like tweeted and said, "My days of leaving dishes in the sink are numbered." Like, that Tom Brady would be great. He would be amazing on First Take.
Absolutely. Those would be
good choice.
I never thought about that before, but I love that question. And it would be those two. I think that will be a heck of a round table to have Tom Brady, LeBron, and Stephen A. Yeah,
that would be good. That would be good. All right. Well, I appreciate. Go get lunch. You said you leave at 12, and I've kept you like till like almost 1. So I don't want to.
No, you're absolutely fine. You know what it is I only had a protein shake this morning, and like the girl likes to eat, so it's just. You know how it is. I just need a snack. Like Rex Ryan would say, you know, I just need I won't say
cleanse, just a snack.
No cleanse. I don't do diets, and I don't do cleanses. Those are nice in theory. I enjoy food too much.
I'm obsessed with the cleanse.
Good for that.
I'm obsessed with the cleanse.
Really? You do liquid?
Well, the Aaron Rodgers cleanse is what the 12 days.
I thought you meant you like doing cleanses, liquid cleanses.
I could use a cleanse, but not 12 days. 12 days is way too long.
Right. Well, it's called Ayurvedic medicine. If you want to look into it, there's plenty of places all over New York. I've been to an Ayurvedic doctor before. I have not done the Panchakarma cleanse, but you should try one of the treatments.
I'll look into it.
Okay.
And then I'll go on Instagram.
Sounds like you really will. Now you're lying to me.
I'll go on Instagram and post about how I love everyone.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yes. Give them their flowers while they're here.
I agree with that.
This was a lot of fun. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
That's okay. I appreciate you coming on, Molly, especially after working, and have fun with First Take. Now, do you have Leslie? This is a dead time in sports. Do you get a little nervous about it? Because you guys need topics. And
do I get nervous when there's no topics?
Well, not that just like this is a month that's pretty rough, at least until you get to like the NCAA tournament. Like, I know you're at ESPN and no one from ESPN want to get, but like regular season college basketball doesn't move the needle unless a coach slaps another coach. And the NHL, like I know it's back on the NHL, but not moving the needle. So it's just a little bit of a rough time. That's
Jimmy,
all I'm saying.
Let me tell you a secret.
Yeah.
The pandemic was challenging for many people in a lot of different ways. And I do not want to make light of that at all whatsoever. We were doing TV. I was in my basement in Connecticut. Okay. First of all, a debate show where everyone's on a delay. So it's 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds for about 8 months. And we had no sports. So I will never be fearful of how are we going to get through this, because talk about making lemonade. I was like, okay, if we can get through a period where there's absolutely literally no sports, we can handle anything. And those delays were so brutal. I'm so happy to be back in studio.
No, I get it. I wrote a column every morning during that time too, but I felt like I was able to just make stuff up at that point because there was
that's when you need to thank Aaron Rodgers for Panchakarma cleanses and don't get mad about it because social media gives you fodder.
Do you ever wish you could work in a non-sports debate on First Take? Like Kanye versus Pete Davidson, friend, like something like that.
Oh gosh. You know what? People have been filling me in on that. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot. You know what, Jimmy? I have a lot of follow-up questions I'd like to ask. So I would enjoy that. I
would love to hear you and Stephen A. debate that.
Yeah. If anyone ever wanted me to moderate, maybe that's something he'd be willing to do on Stephen A's World, because he has about 80 shows. So maybe on that show, but I don't know if he's up on the Kanye Pete situation.
Yeah, it's good. All right, Molly, go get some food, go get some rest. Appreciate you coming on, and best of luck with First Take going forward.
This was a lot of fun. Yeah, anytime. And your boy Mad Dog will be back on Wednesday.
I know. Looking forward to it. People on Twitter couldn't get enough.
Yeah, it's all good. I
love when they were arguing Dak and Kirk Cousins, and he turns to you and he's like, we won a playoff game. Like you, I was like, poor Molly. The tweets I got about you were like, Molly's going to have to drink after dealing with those two. I'm worried about Molly. Someone get Molly some protect. It was pretty funny.
I want to tell you 2 Mad Dog things really quickly because I know you're a big fan. First of all, I don't know if I've ever met anyone with a more impressive memory.
Oh my God, he's like Rain Man for baseball.
I mean, I work with a lot of intelligent people. His recollection of events and details and dates is off the charts. And the other thing, I'll tell you this really quickly. And I said to myself, you know what? This separates the good from the great. As you and I know, being in this tri-state area, Mad Dog's a made man, right? He's been doing this for a very long time. He's an icon. And like Stephen A., he's one of those rare breeds where they have that respect because that light comes on, he's putting on a show.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows what it's like to have that fall on your shoulders and to do that every day in the dog days, like we just discussed, when there's not the hottest of topics. Do you know that when that show ended, he looked at both of us and he said, what can I do better? And we're like, you were great. Are you kidding? That was seamless. We've never worked together in our life. Yeah. He's like, no, just let me know. He said, call me after, what do you need me to do better? Where can I get better? And I was like, that humility and I think that like self-awareness, especially when you're Mad Dog, was just beyond impressive to me. And I was like, okay, that's why he's great. And that's why he is who he is.
I love that you brought up the memory, because that was a bit when it was first announced that he was going to be on. So many people are like, wait till Russo hits Stephen A. with like some baseball stat from 1946. Because he is Rain Man with baseball. And what makes it even more fascinating is like, he knows what Ty Cobb batted in 1923, but he was calling Leonardo DiCaprio, Leonard DiCaprio 2 weeks ago on his radio show. So,
I love that. But that's how
what's
you know he's all in sports. And this
Right.
really is the last thing. I'm going to stop saying the last thing. This podcast is going to be called The Last Thing. He was so strong and so good on James Harden. I just remember we started the block on that and we started on NBA and I was like, whoa, okay, this is good. That show flew.
That's a good topic
for me. And usually when the show flies like that, I think it's, resonating at home as well. That's kind of my litmus test, but anyway. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Molly. Appreciate it. Be well. Take care. All right. Joining me now for our weekly Train of Thought segment from WFAN in New York, SNY TV, Sal Licata. Sal, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Did you hear, by the way, last week, Andrew Marchand on the podcast suggested maybe I change the name of this segment?
I did hear that. I'm glad you brought it up because I forgot. He's completely wrong. You do not change the name of the segment. It is Train of Thoughts. You are the host of the show. This is your thoughts. I'm just joining you. It happened to be weekly here, but you do not change the name. So I thought he was incorrect.
Well, it was complimentary towards you, but you need to be careful bashing Marchand. He'll end your career in one column. Boom, New York Post, you're done.
No, I'm bashing him. I like Marchand. I read his stuff all the time.
No, but he was wrong. He was wrong.
Yeah, no, I like the Train of Thoughts. It's your podcast. It's Train of Thoughts.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of Traina and just, inflating my ego even more, if you're listening to this before Friday, February 25th, on that date, Friday, February 25th, I'll be co-hosting the Maggie and Perloff show with Andrew Perloff. Maggie is out that day. And Perloff and I go way back from in our SI days. So I'll be co-hosting with Perloff Friday, February 25th from 3 to 6 Eastern, CBS Sports Radio and CBS Sports Network. As a radio host, any advice, any tips? What should I prepare for?
Goodness, I am so excited about this. The only thing that I wish is that we were hosting a show together, but it's great. I mean, I'm excited for you to get this opportunity. I mean, look, realistically, the advice is just be yourself. Here's the only thing that I would do when I start doing these radio shows or TV shows, whatever. Just pretend that nobody's listening. Because I think if it gets in your mind, it's different. We're doing a podcast, right? You know that it's being taped necessarily. You could edit it. It feels different than live radio or live TV. But to make it successful, just pretend that nobody's watching, nobody's listening, and you're BSing with your friend, in this case, Perloff.
Yeah, I was thinking... the pod that, the media pod's usually about an hour, give or take a little bit. This is going to be 3 hours. So I was like, that's pretty daunting. But then I realized, and I know how the fan is here in New York, where they're just loaded with commercials. On the pod, we go straight through, no commercials. So, I mean, there are ads, but when I'm recording,
right,
to sort of break the fourth wall, I just keep going and then they insert the ads. So, that should help, I think.
100%. There are, especially the format for CBS Sports Radio, which I've done shows there. I mean, I haven't done them necessarily during that particular show, but there are a lot of built-in breaks that you will have. You'll see how fast it goes. It's going to fly by with all the commercials, and you're talking with somebody else. There'll be plenty of sports topics, on a national level. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think you're going to enjoy it. So I am excited for it through you because I remember, when I first started getting those opportunities and doing it. So I'm really excited for you.
I'm just curious to see how many times I can plug the SI Media podcast during the 3 hours.
Also, you should tell Sports Illustrated to send, if you don't already, send some kind of zip-up jacket.
No, please, no. Let's.
Yeah, you gotta wear like a Sports Illustrated hoodie or something.
No. We'll skip right over. Let's skip right over that part. No.
Or if not that, you got to promote. Wear your the Rock shirt or something. Hey, Rock, I want you to come on my SI podcast, media podcast.
I thought you said Barack. I was like, what do you want?
No, imagine? Don't do that. Yeah,
don't do that. Yeah, I mean, I already plan on making a plea to The Rock to come on the podcast.
I love it. See, there you go. I know you too well.
Rock. Let's get into some time. A lot went on this week with Juwan Howard and Aaron Rodgers. The Rodgers thing to me is it's fascinating to me because I felt like when I was going through Twitter after the Instagram post, but before the McAfee appearance, it does seem like people are now onto the Rodgers game of stirring shit up and then, acting like the victim. And I can't believe people are reacting this way, blah, blah. Like people are onto it now. And to me, it's very, very interesting that people now see that he's just trying to get attention. And because here's what turned me on this. I had Kevin Clark from The Ring on the pod during the season. And I said and Kevin has interviewed Rodgers, and I guess they have some relationship. And I said it's so obvious to me that Rodgers hates the media. And Kevin's like, no, he doesn't hate the media. He likes the game. But to me, the game is annoying because it's, let me go post something bizarre on Instagram and then act like, oh my God, why are everyone reacting? What's the big deal? Like that game now for me is just so tired at this point.
But I do understand that. And I do think that Rodgers knows what he's doing. But if you just look at that post and take it for what it is at face value, I mean, he literally talks about gratitude. And that's all that he says. Word for word in there is showing gratitude, whether it's to his ex-girlfriend or girl, who cares, current girlfriend, right. I don't care, or former teammates or future teammates. And then, and this is where I kind of understand where Rodgers is coming from. He says, watch this. I'm going to post something about gratitude and watch how it gets blown out of proportion. Well, and then you're reading headlines that say, Aaron Rodgers posts cryptic message. Well, how is that a cryptic message if you read it for what it is? Rodgers is right. It's not. People take it for what they want as opposed to what it is at face value.
Okay, so a couple of things on that. I agree, and we're on the same page in that, like you just said it. He's going to post it and then go, look at people twist my words.
Right.
But people are going to do that. So why not just be clear about what you're doing instead of, and I agree, I don't think it was cryptic. I think it was blatant in, I'm going to fuck with everyone now. That's what I think. And here's my other issue. Okay. Like you sound like you're one of these dopes who got fooled. Okay. Because you're talking about his gratitude. So you spend 12 days shitting and vomiting. And your first thought is, let me then go on Instagram and talk about how I have gratitude for everyone. It makes no sense. Right. Did you see the cleanse he did? Enema days, herb drops in the nose, laxative therapy, therapeutic vomiting. So you're going to do all that, spend 12 days just, letting it all out, mouth and ass. And then I'm going to go on Instagram and say, oh, I'm gratitude. And then go, oh my God, everyone's spitting my words. It's such a tired and transparent act. It's bizarre to me that more people don't see it.
Agreed with that. I'm just saying that the idea that you could come out and say, oh, Aaron Rodgers post cryptic, like they're playing right into exactly what he thinks is going to happen. Right. But I do understand your point. Look, if you're cleansing like that, and I don't care what he does, I didn't even read it. Here's the thing. There are two people that I want nothing to do with, and completely different angles here. Anything that comes out of Antonio Brown's mouth, I pay no attention to. I don't even bring it up. I do 5 hours to myself. I'll repeat stuff before I talk about Antonio Brown. And with Rodgers, I know it's a bigger story, and I mention it, but I don't even give it any merit. I don't care. If you're doing a true cleanse, you should not be going to social media to talk about it. A cleanse should be getting rid of social media. You're Aaron freaking Rodgers. You make millions of dollars. What do you need to post on Instagram for?
Because he's trying to fuck with people. That's exactly what it is. I don't care what anyone says. That's what it is. And people fall for it. And then he.
That's the problem is that people fall for it, right? You're right. He's trying to mess with people, and they.
But I will say on the flip side, I love it because it's content. I mean, I wrote my whole column yesterday about it, but the people who take it as like this, like, what is he trying to say? He's not trying to say anything. He's trying to mess with.
Right.
He's not trying to say anything.
Correct. So when I first read it, that's what I'm saying. Like, oh, what do you think? Do you think it means he's leaving? No, I don't. Take it for what it means. Because he wants to post his gratitude crap. Good for him.
But here's the point. He wants to go on there and post gratitude in these pictures and blah, blah, blah. But he knows that every NFL fan, NFL sports media person, every NFL player, teams, everyone's waiting for his move. He's going to leave the Packers. Is he not going to leave the Packers? Is he going to the Broncos, staying with the Packers, retiring? So he knows that that's what everyone wants to know. So then he does this as sort of, I think, he's
got some power with it, right? He knows no matter what he sends after he tweets whatever he does or Instagrams whatever he does and sends it, there is going to be reaction. I can understand how that might be, a feeling of power for somebody thinking, hey, watch this, watch how the world reacts to what I say. There's 100%. There's a part of, and plus he's going through the breakup potentially with her, so maybe he wants to get that out there. I have no idea what's going through his mind. I really don't give a crap. When he announces what team he's going to, that's what I care about. I like watching him on the football field. I don't care. Let me know where he goes. Don't care about his cleanse. Don't care about him on Pat McAfee. I care about what he does, where he does it on the football field.
And that's the issue. I could not possibly care less if he's engaged, not engaged. Right. But he was engaged. There are reports they're not engaged. He goes and thanks her on social media, and then he's going to act like, oh my God, why are people interested in my social? Like you're fueling the fire. I'm sorry, but you
Agreed.
are. How long would you last doing this cleanse? Let me read it to you what it is. Okay. This is according to a tweet here from the Game Day NFL. It's a verified account. So I'm hoping it's accurate, but this is what it says. This is what the cleanse is. 3 days of ghee therapy, which is butter. Consume butter until you evacuate on both ends. 1 day of therapeutic vomiting. 1 day laxative therapy. 3 days herb drops in the nose. Numerous enema days, yoga meditation. Your thoughts?
I think it is the most seriously, and this gets used a lot. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. I could understand if people feel the need to cleanse their insides with some kind of juice to a certain extent. I mean, I understand it to a certain extent. It's not for me. It's never been for me. And I try to, I want to be healthy and work out. That is next level. That seems more like torture than cleansing. I'm not sure why anybody would want to do that to their body.
Well, this goes to a whole theory I have that I probably should not get into on this podcast, but I have a theory that once a person, celebrity, athlete, whoever it is, once they make a certain amount of money, like over, I don't know, like say like 100 million, they lose their minds and they don't know how to be a real person. And then they do stuff like this.
And they need to like challenge themselves with things in life because the game of life is already won, right? You've already won the challenge. You've achieved whatever you wanted to. You have endless money. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want, go wherever you want.
They've got nothing to do. They're not around normal people. They don't live a normal life. So they go and they shit and poo and vomit for 12
Have you ever heard of that seriously before in your life? I've heard of it like a juice cleanse.
But that's a Rodgers thing. He wants to be like, he's smarter than everyone. Like he did his own research on COVID and blah, blah, he's a scientist and a doctor.
What did Howard say about this? Did he have a comment?
I did not listen to Howard today, so I'm not sure, but
I'm fascinated to find out what he thinks about this cleanse and Rodgers, who I know he had some funny things to say about him.
12-day cleanse. Yeah. Next topic. And I actually think this is a very important story because this just came down right before we started tweeting. Barstool did a story. They sent out a tweet because the Cavaliers, Jared Allen, who's an excellent player, by the way, the Cavs left him out of their group chat until he got an iPhone because they wanted all blue texts in the group chat. I think the Cavaliers did the right thing there, and I don't want to be in any group chats with people who are in the green. And I'm talking to you, Christopher Herney, one of my best friends from college, who ruins every group chat with his stupid phone because he thinks he's going to be above getting an iPhone, and I'm better than you. I'm not going to get an iPhone. Get the iPhone, get the blue text message, and be part of the society.
I love it. The Cavs just went up a few notches. I may pick them to go to the finals out of the Eastern Conference now with that. Oh my goodness, that is great. You're right. It is annoying when you see the green text come up. I mean, look, I understand not everybody's going to want to go with Apple or whatever, but when you're in a group chat and there's a green in there, it's horrible.
Now, I will say one thing I would like to see Apple improve in the group chat. Like when you text one-on-one, you get the dots when someone's typing. You don't have that in a group chat. And I think you need that in a group chat.
I want to eliminate group chats myself. I'm in.
How many are you in? How many are you in? Let's start with
that. What would you consider a group chat? Anything with more than one-on-one, right?
Yes. Anything with 3 people or more, including yourself.
I would say 1, 2, 3, at least 4, I would say.
That's a lot.
And one's like a good group of friends that I understand. There's so many texts that you don't even pay attention to. The other ones is where sometimes it becomes annoying because it's more throughout. Like I pay zero attention to, and it's no disrespect to it. I want to get out of it. How do I get out of it?
That's disrespect. That's disrespect when you don't pay attention.
I literally pay no. Like I understand why they don't. I don't understand why they don't take me off of it. I just ignore everything. It's silent.
Yeah, but can you tell these people you would like to be left?
It's out? Like that's rude.
Or would they be? Oh, that's rude. So the ignoring is. See, I think the ignoring is worse than just saying like, "Listen, I'm busy. I'm on the radio for 5 hours a night.
Yeah.
I need to leave the group chat. You can't say that to them.
I mean, I guess I could. I looked on the phone to see if there's a way that I could just, like leave this conversation, and I still can't figure out how to do it. And I don't understand why.
I bet if you did a 12-day cleanse, you could come back and tell them that you want to be out of the group text. You'd get clarity on it.
It's just so annoying. There's too many. See, it's funny. People think like texting, and I fall to the trap too. Oh, it's more convenient than actually picking up the phone and calling somebody, right? However, it's the complete opposite, because if you pick up the phone and call somebody, you are dedicating that 10, 15 minutes, whatever it may be, to that conversation, and then it ends.
But here's
in a
why
text, it never ends. The text never ends.
You're out of line on that, because you don't pick up the phone 99% of the time when someone calls you.
I don't. No, but I'm only talking on the phone.
Right. But you just said you would rather do the call than the text.
No, but at least the phone call ends. And there are certain the text never ends. That's the problem. The one main group text that I'm in, I understand that, like, we're not going to be calling each other. There's friends from different places. We're not going to be calling all the time. So that's fine. Right. But when you get involved in regular text, and you and I is a little bit different. I mean, we talk regularly. We text. Right. But there are people where, you start getting in a conversation and then you put the phone down, but then it goes off again. And then you're splitting your time into where you think it's over, but it's not. It continues. Phone conversation, there's no misunderstanding. You talk 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever it is, and then it's over.
That's great. The phone call ends. The texts do not.
Dude, the text conversation never ends.
Well, you know that you can mute them. Like you can
I do that. Yeah. And my phone's always on mute too, which is another problem, because I'm always looking at it because I don't even have the ringer on.
Right. You do have issues with the phone.
I need to cleanse. Ask Aaron Rodgers if he could get me a cleanse from a phone. What would that entail? That's what I need. A cleanse from Twitter.
You can't do. I went through this with someone. I don't want to say their name because they may not want it out there, but someone in sports media who I'm friends with and mention regularly was complaining about being addicted to the phone. And I said, well, it's impossible for us to take a clean break when what we do for a living. And he said he's on it even when he's not doing work stuff, and he's always scrolling. He's constantly scrolling. Mm-hmm. I think it's just part of what we do. I really do.
I will tell you this. I am going on vacation starting Friday. God, do I need it. I mean, I haven't been away since 2020, but just to take some time off, it's not even about going away. I plan on zero. I mean, I don't care what happens. I don't care if the lockout ends. I don't care if the Mets sign Carlos Correa. I couldn't care less. I don't want to know anything about anything to do with sports. I don't want to be connected.
So you're saying that when you're on vacation, you won't check, forget tweeting, because you could easily not tweet. You're saying Correct. You won't check the timeline.
I am going to delete the app from my phone, which I've done plenty of times, and then re-sign in over and over again. My plan is to not look at social media at all, maybe until I return home, and then like the final couple of days start to get ready for the, to return.
I can't wait to text you some big news that you don't know about. The last thing I want to get into, on Tuesday night, I was watching, I don't know, flipping the channels, Comedy Central, whatever, had the Office on, which it always does. The Sweeney Todd episode was on. I said it was the worst episode that's not season 8 or season 9. A lot of people said Scott's Tots, which is ridiculous, but there was a lot of agreement about Sweeney Todd. You watched The Office. I'm just wondering, do you have a worst Office episode?
Now you got to refresh me on the specifics of it. I wouldn't know them by name. What happened in the Sweeney Todd one?
It's just Andy Bernard being in Sweeney Todd. It's horrible. But without knowing the name, is there an episode where like that you say, oh, that's an automatic skip for me, or you're not that deep
it's been such a long time. I don't really know if I have one that comes to the top of my mind that I did not like from The Office. I mean, I generally remember loving all the early ones.
Do you have a worst Seinfeld episode?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that one, because that's what I was thinking too. I don't. I mean, I'm sure there's one worse one, but I love every one, so I don't think that there's one that I say, oh, I want to skip. Maybe a very early one in Seinfeld.
A lot of people say that when it was the Seinfeld Chronicles.
You're right. So maybe one of those, and I don't know which one in particular, but maybe there's one of those that I'm like, if I see it on, I'm not as into it as I would be the newer ones. But it's not like I hate the episode. I mean, even Sopranos. I guess there are some episodes you don't love.
Well, Christopher Columbus was the Sopranos' worst episode.
Yeah, I remember that one. I mean, not great, but still, I don't know. I never really gave it much thought. Usually, it's more about the ones that I love more so than anything else. Those stick out more than the ones that I don't like. I got to go back and watch, and this is the problem with just not having enough time. I'd love to go back and watch Curb again from start to finish. My buddy just texted me. He's like, "Oh my God, I've been rewatching Curb, and it's so great. I forget how funny. The Office. Like, I legitimately used to love that show. And Seinfeld I used to watch all the time. I don't watch them anymore, so it's been a while. So
this is a good way to end it, because I will say this. At the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, I watched Curb from the beginning. Everyone should do it. The first three seasons of Curb are the best thing that's ever been on TV, in my opinion, outside of maybe The Sopranos. So everyone should binge Curb from the beginning if you're listening to this. All right, Sal won't be with us next week. He will be on that vacation, ignoring Twitter. We'll see how long he lasts.
And this is why you don't change the name of the segment to Train of Thoughts, because
right,
you never know.
Sal won't be here. He'll be avoiding Twitter.
Yeah, we'll that's exactly right. Now, I'll probably text you throughout and keep you updated. Yeah. But yes, I will be off of Twitter. You won't be able to find me. Yeah.
Mix in a cleanse while you're on vacation.
Yeah, right.
All right, Sal, take it easy.
See you later.
All right, my thanks to Molly Qerim and Sal Licata for this week's SI Media podcast. Really enjoyed talking to Molly. Hope you guys did too. If you enjoyed it, leave a review on Apple, leave a rate it, give it a 5-star, review it, subscribe, all that stuff helps tremendously. And if you missed any recent episodes, dip into the archives there. Andrew Marchand from The Post was on last week, where we went through a bunch of sports and media news. Boomer Esiason 2 weeks ago, Brian Curtis from The Ringer 3 weeks ago. All recent guests right here on the SI Media podcast. All right, we'll see you next week. Stay safe and take care.